I was really digging that.
I know. Me and Evan are both bobbing over here.
You're bobbing to the generic stock music provided by StreamYard.
Yeah, Seth and I are the kind of guys that'll jam out in an elevator, just getting down.
Well, Evan, you're in Nashville, right?
Oh, I am. We have the best elevator music across the country.
Yeah, well, you have live elevator music, don't you? Like every elevator's got somebody in the corner playing a guitar.
Yeah, every elevator's just got somebody doing Kenny Chesney covers. It's just it is what it is. But welcome everybody to Labs Advisors Live. Here with me, as always, is my partner in crime, Joe McHugh.
Evan, how you doing?
The real star of the show, looking like a snack as always. And then we have a special guest, and of course, I'm Evan Ransom, if you didn't see on screen, from Nashville. We have a special guest with us today, the one and only El Presidente himself, Mr. Seth Mills.
Hey, guys. Evan, Joe, thank you for having me on. I will tell you, it's a pleasure just chatting with you guys. So it's cool that we get to do it in a public sense. I'm just excited to spend some time with y'all.
Absolutely. And today we've got I actually really like today's topic because it's very timely, because last week we had Jason Flynn on, and Jason Flynn was talking about iOS 14.5 and some of the things around Facebook ad strategies. And Seth, correct me if I'm wrong, but you come on today, we're talking about that follow-up plan and how we're handling our follow-up with our online leads. So I think a very timely episode. Give us a little rundown of what we're going to be covering today. What can we expect?
Yeah, so the concept is called digital door knocking. I'll have this fancy, like mostly static screen behind me. But the concept is digital door knocking. How can we meet people where they are when they are at home and they're in their computer and they're not next to us, right? How can we take the concept of door knocking to the next level at scale? And how can we use technology to get us there? So we'll talk a little bit about an idea behind a campaign versus an advertisement. And then what does prospecting look like when it comes to online campaigns and lead capture?
Love that. I love that. I like the idea of it being not necessarily a replacement, but just like an alternative door knocking, especially in times where people may not be as friendly to door knockers as they maybe once were. Times like these. So to get us started, Joe, did you have anything that you wanted to ask Seth to start off with? I'm sorry.
Why do you put me on the spot like that?
I don't know. I just said
I've never done that ever, and now you're throwing me out there like that. No, I mean, I was just gonna say it. So again, bringing up last week. What is a Facebook lead? What's a lead from the internet other than a not met, right? And door knocking is just going out and meeting not met. So it's very similar in that sense. So yeah, it's all relevant topics, right? It's all there. So let's do this.
So we live in the TCP era,
awesome.
The TCPA era, right? Where any broadcast we watch, please check your do not call registry. Right. Well, what we're talking about today is busting right through that wall. How do we just get past the TCPA so it's not even a concern? Right. How do we not even worry about the do not call registry? We have to have people give us permission in the first place. Right. So, I mean, if we have an opt-in, if we have the ability, if they've told us, hey, you can contact me, then it changes the entire conversation. Right. So I think it's so important to understand that if we want massive lists of people to call, we need to put something out there for them to engage with in the first place, build a database, be able to engage with. Right. So we have Facebook leads. So we've got a great tool in command with Facebook ads and Facebook leads. And if we just simply focus on capturing numbers of leads, I think we're missing something, right? We have the ability to create as many leads as we really want. It's just a matter of how much money do you want to spend. But how do we create a campaign, right? What's the difference between an ad and a campaign? Evan, what would you, break that down for just a minute. From your perspective, what would you say is the difference between an ad and a campaign?
I'm a big fan of the keep it simple method. And for me, the first thing, gut reaction is an ad is the one-off thing. I'm gonna run an ad, right? I'm gonna do one solitary act. I'm gonna post it out there and get some results from it. Whereas a campaign, I'm feeling like might be multiple multiple ads, multiple, well, I guess we call campaigns literally in the system, but with a common goal in mind to achieve with each one.
Yeah.
That's shared amongst them.
Yeah, I love that. So
how close am I?
I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just saying, just to be clear, you're talking about a conceptual campaign versus the applet called campaign, right? Just to be clear for our audience here, what we're talking about. So when we talk about the campaign applet, a lot of people are referring to exactly what Evan said, which is I'm just going to run an ad, right? I'm just going to blast an email. Versus you're talking about the bigger idea of what a campaign can and should be to get results.
Yeah, and I'm glad you made that clarifying point, because that's absolutely what I'm talking about. I think it's important that we pause and just clarify what this is. Campaigns as an applet is intended for us to run campaigns, and ads are a part of that, right? But there's multiple different things that we're going to put into place, multiple different tactics. If we look at the 4 different levels of war, the tactical aspect of war and the strategic aspect of war are separate. Right? We have a campaign level where we look at multiple different things that are happening at the same time. We look at multiple different tactics in order to achieve an entire campaign. Well, it has to be the same in a marketing aspect, especially if we wish to follow it up with prospecting, right? So let's call door knocking what it is prospecting. It is cold, hard prospecting. And we go door to door, we knock on doors physically. That's great. We know where people live and they may or may not answer us, right? And so when I started out in the business, I did a ton of door knocking because I knew that we could find people face to face. And if they answer the door, then, that's cool. Maybe I can get into conversation. I would knock. It would take me probably 3 or 4 hours to knock 100 doors. I was happy if I got 20 conversations out of that. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, what technology affords us is the ability to have those similar conversations, but over mass scale. Right. So let's back up. So I want to talk through.
Yeah, let me ask you one question, Seth. So out of those 100 doors, you said 20 conversations. How many would those be piece of business potentially? Like what would translate?
So I think it's no different. Any given person that we speak with at any point in time, if they're willing to have a conversation with us, there's a 2 to 3% chance they're going to do business with us.
Okay.
And that's just kind of a general rule of thumb. And what we're finding is that the same is true for online lead generation, because people that click ads on Facebook and Instagram are no different than the average person. People are thinking about moving all the time, right? And 2 to 3% of them will. And of those 2 to 3% that could convert, how many can you convert, right? That's all different conversion ratios, but at least we know. So same deal. So you knock 100 doors, maybe you do that for 5 days in a row and you get, 2 or 3 deals out of it. And that's not bad. That's not bad because it's calculable, right? Right. And if it's calculable and it's a tangible way to obtain business, then we just got to figure out how do we improve those rates.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
Now, the nice thing, though, is say that of those 20 people, one person would consider doing business with us. The other 19, that's an interaction. And interactions can be followed up on. A contact can be followed up on. And Facebook leads, Instagram leads are no different. That we have an interaction, that's an opportunity to follow up on that person. So if we have a 2 to 3% ratio for capturing business, for most people, they'd look at that and they're like, man, well, why would I generate a ton of Facebook leads if they're only going to convert at 2 to 3%? I don't want to just be pounding the phones all day long. Well, guess what? You're a real estate agent. You're going to be talking to people. Get used to it, first of all.
Well, and that's I love that point because, again, we said last week that it's the same 50-to-1 ratio we've seen in the MREA, right? It hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. 50-to-1 is still 2%, right? It's still that same number. So nobody should be surprised by this.
Nope, absolutely not. In fact, Gary was kind of a trailblazer. We thought for a long time online leads were a conversion rate of 4 to 5%. They're not, right? They're not. I mean, if you spend a lot of money and you buy them clearly down the funnel, that's a different story. But you've already built in a couple conversion rates at that point. But here's the beautiful thing. You have that 51 ratio. What's the ratio for people you have met?
12 to 10.
Yeah. So roughly 10%, right? So if you have that 2 to 3%, if you have another 8 to 12%, depending on how you cut it and how you manage your database. Now you've got like a 15% rate of return on every single person that you speak with. We have the ability to take these online leads that convert at maybe a very low rate. And if we don't give up on them and we treat them like people, because they are people, and we care about their stories and we invest in their lives, we follow up with them on a regular basis, we 5x, at least 4x that conversion rate over a period of time.
Yeah.
And I mean, we look through the Ignite courses and through Bold, and we look at, how many people do we just need to simply add to our database?
Yeah.
These, what we call leads, which are truly prospects, are people to add to our database and follow up with over a long period of time. Right. So that's kind of what we're talking about today. Before we get into some of that, I wanted to talk just kind of big level. A campaign should have, look at that. Should have 3 elements. It's got 3 principles and 3 rules. So let's talk through those real quick. And I don't want to delay on this too long, but it's so important because we generally just jump straight to the offer, some kind of targeted value. We think that if we say, hey, Keller Mortgage, we've got a refinance special right now, jump on it, that's enough to engage people to do business with us. And now it might be at a 2% ratio, but how do we get the rest, right? We hook them with some kind of catchy ad. We tell a story that relates to them specifically. And then we offer targeted value, something that perhaps our competition may not have, or perhaps something that nobody else is communicating.
What's a good example of a hook that you've seen recently?
Of targeted value?
Yeah, well, or the first one, the attention, right? So the hook. Like, what's a good example you've seen that executed recently?
Yeah, so I've got some. I think anything with this is just simple marketing copy. Like good marketing copy will catch somebody's attention. Something that relates to them and something they're interested in. So, we see the very best rate of return on ads when you're marketing a listing. So just listed, coming soon. If you could do that in your area, even if you launch it a day ahead of time, if you're launching an open house, these are things that grab people's attention and will, when they engage with it, they have an identified interest in real estate. So I think that's a really good piece. Now, there's brand awareness campaigns you can run also. We see a much lower rate of return as far as lead capture is concerned. But, use listings. If you don't have your own listing, talk to somebody else in your market center. There are plenty of listings out there to advertise. But I see that, we have the best rate of return on those.
Okay. Deal.
Cool. So the story should be relatable. The nice thing, if we all live somewhere, and so if you're focusing a geographic area, you should be able to tell a story that is relatable in some way, based upon where they live, right? So maybe you tell a story that makes you a little bit more human. Maybe you tell a story just because it's a neighborhood that they're familiar with, but make it something long term that they can engage with. This should be something relating both to your business and something that they can engage with that's personally branded.
Now, Seth, is the story in the ad itself, or is the story in the follow-up?
I think the story's in the follow-up. But
Okay.
we have, so from the moment we write the ad, we have both the story and the offer in mind. We probably mentioned the offer. You guys have always, I'm sure you've heard, always be closing, the ABC of sales. So we're going to, pitch the close right up front. But it may be kind of soft, and then over a long period of time, we give them plenty of opportunities and plenty of reasons to engage and interact.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, the principles, this is really what we should be approaching every single ad with. And this is the individual that we're connecting with them. We use the lead capture feature of an ad to make them aware that we exist and that we have the ability to communicate in at least a one-way communication with them, still an unmet, but with an opt-in. But we look to connect with them, right? We look to engage with them, which is different, right? Connecting with them, just, will they listen to what I'm saying? Will they open an email? Will they pick up the phone or respond to a Facebook message? And then how do I engage with them in a way that is meaningful to them? And I think only then have we earned the right to invite them to do something, mean, we may invite them up front, right? But so I have written down here, so connect with them through the hook and not just attract them. I think that's important. Like, we may attract them with some kind of shiny object, but they engage with that shiny object and they realize it's not something they want, they're out, right? Mm-hmm. We connect with them in some way. It's a different story. Engage them with the story instead of just entertaining them. How do we make it something they would want to press into and continue conversation with? And then invite them to take the next step. I love this. I heard this from a wise person. People do what we tell them to do, and so often we tell them to do nothing at all. It's true. I mean, they may not do it every single time. They do what we ask them to do. And there are so many times in sales where we have no call to action. We have no invite to engage. We just say, hey, here's this thing. Are you interested? Right? Instead of act now, here's how. So, and then just to briefly run through it, be consistent, be purposeful, and automate everything possible.
Automate everything. Yes.
Everything. Everything. Now, there's something we can't automate. Let's talk about the stuff that we can automate. We can automate a lot of communication, right? We talk about smart plans a lot in this environment. I mean, that's huge, right? We talk about creating a consumer presence online that they can engage with, that they can check in back with on a regular basis. That's really automated. We can do everything we can to curate our presence online and just kind of set it out there. This should say automate everything possible, because what is not possible is the prospecting portion. Like the person-to-person interactions, that's something we still got to do.
So like the main thing on there, like you can automate texting, you can automate emails, but that phone call still has to come from you.
Absolutely.
And that's the big part, because that's the part that really makes you human. And I'm always a big believer in, let's not leverage the things that make us human, right? Those things that create the relationships, that develop the eye contact, right?
Yeah. Yep. I totally agree. And I think there's other things we'll talk about. So let me skip through some of this.
10 days at $50 max. Hold on one moment.
Yeah. So I'll skip back. That's fine.
I want to hear why you say that.
That's a good question. So we've tested a bunch. Now, this may be just locally, but I can tell you that we've seen when we go longer than 10 days, when we go more than $50, we've got a lower rate of return. If I want to spend $200 on a message, I'd rather run 4 of that same ad at $50 a piece. Now, most of the ads that we run, and I'll flip over to my command profile in a moment, and you can see some of these real-time things, but most of the things that we run are $30. We run $30 for 7 days, and it's good. We get good returns. We get a lot of people engage, and we've seen, we've tested more, but that's kind of where.
That's where your sweet spots, where you find your sweet spot.
I see the sweet spot is, yeah. And I would say that's a maximum, right? We may spend less. So an open house ad is a really good example of something that we may not do for 10 days at $50, right? I might run that for 5 days at $20 or $30. We run that starting on a Wednesday. We run it through a Monday to get a little bit of FOMO for the people that are seeing it on the tail end of the weekend. And you've got a very, very captive audience. And we've seen some open house ads generate leads at 73 cents a piece.
That FOMO comment blew my mind. Like, I had never actually thought about that. I'm a don't be dumb. Stop the ad that Sunday. Stop that ad that Saturday. But you're absolutely right. Like, people will be like, oh, I missed this.
And we get people reach out. They're like, oh man, it looks like I missed the open house. Or we'll call up the people that are at the tail end that missed the open house. We'll say, hey, it looks like you missed it, but you wanted to see it. Can we set up a private tour for you? Right. Those who generally that engage with open house ads often are the ones that don't have agents. So, pop quiz. What is the number one day for people looking for open houses who are not yet represented by an agent?
Saturday?
Could be.
Or so the day they actually go out, or the day
they're the number one day they're looking online for an open house.
Oh.
And they are not yet represented by an agent. It's Wednesday.
Oh,
It's Wednesday. So I never would have guessed that, right? But
that's close.
a little nugget. You're very close. It ended with a Y.
Yeah, exactly. I like how Seth was so nice the way he let me know I was wrong there. He was like, "Oh, could be, could be."
So what we know is by Thursday, most new listings are popping live, and agents know that, and so agents will reach out to their clients to start setting appointments with their buyers for the weekend. If we wish to capture those buyers before their agent reaches out to them on Thursday or Friday, we run an open house ad on Wednesday, and we catch them before all the rest.
Which means you're actually starting that ad on Tuesday, right? Because there's the day delay. And so what I'm hearing is that agent who plans their open house Friday afternoon is already missing out on a lot of opportunity.
Bingo. So let's talk about that real quick, right? What could that look like then? You identify Monday which house is not going to sell of your listings, which right now might not be any of them,
yeah,
because they're selling so fast, right? But seriously, if you've got an open house, if you've got a house that's coming up that's going to go live on Thursday, why not plan it? Or let's say you launch it on a Wednesday. Start running your ads on a Wednesday. Plan that open house for Saturday, Sunday. And now, even if it sells by Friday, you've got a whole bunch of people that care about it. And you had a whole day of lead capture that nobody else would have had, right? Yeah. That Wednesday that it first went live.
So we have some people watching this right now, putting their open houses in the MLS, being like, "Wait, what did he just say?"
Yeah, right. It's Friday. Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I've done this also, but we plan our lead generation ahead of time. We're going to have better return on it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Again, it's a campaign. If you're going to war, are you just going to say, "Oh, it's Friday. I think it's time to do this one thing"? No, I mean they planned this out well ahead of time.
I have a good friend in the Houston area who always told me his goal, the open house, anything he gets at the open house is gravy. His goal is 2 pieces of business from that open house before he even opens the door. And that's exactly what you're talking about here.
Yeah, absolutely. But we got to plan it ahead of time. And I think the same goes with any ad. It doesn't matter if it's a just listed, a coming soon, if you can find a way to run those, a just sold, brand awareness. If you're using Keller Offers or Keller Mortgage, whatever you might be running an ad for, plan it ahead of time and know what you're talking about. Have a story to tell and know why you're hooking them when you're hooking them. So there's nothing wrong with testing out. There's a lot of people probably watching that have never run an ad. I mean, go spend $5, $10, $20. If you're not, I was teaching a class the other day, so many agents don't spend anything on lead generation, or so little. MREA says spend 10% of your budget on lead generation. So go close a deal. If the average in your market is, $330,000, that's a $10,000 commission. Go spend $1,000 on lead generation. How are you going to do it? I'm not going to advise you go dump $1,000 into Facebook ads unless that's the plan, right?
At least not in one ad, right?
That's a lot of Facebook ads.
Right.
Spend $50, spend $1,000, 50 ads at $50 at not all an ad. Moving on. Good segue. Just keep us going.
I'm just going to keep going. So that was just some examples of some ads. So the story. So here's the key part, and here's where I think the digital door knocking really kicks in. That top piece right there is something that so many people miss. Direct Facebook messages. This is something you cannot automate. This is the door knock, folks. You get somebody that opted in to communication with you. And the whole beauty of door knocking is we're meeting people where they are. That's the key. That's like the number one principle in marketing is meet folks where they're at. Meet our consumers where they're at. Well, if they engaged with us on Facebook, go and connect with them on Facebook.
I feel like an idiot because that is the biggest duh statement I have ever heard, right? Because they might change their email, they might change their phone number, right? We see that all the time, but they're probably not changing their name, and it came from Facebook, so you're going to be able to find them. I feel like, all right, I'm done. I quit. You guys continue. I'm leaving.
I'm ready to hear about the TikTok ads, Seth.
So my daughters, I've got 4 daughters. The 2 of them just finished 9th grade, and they are begging for me to get on TikTok, and I've refused as of yet.
Oh, you would kill it. You'd be an absolute superstar.
Yeah, Evan, that's what they tell me too. I feel like it's still a trick.
You just got to be careful because it is a big time suck.
Yeah. So the reason we use Facebook, and I hear this from top agents everywhere, the reason we use Facebook and Instagram is because that's the largest pool.
Yeah.
Like a quarter of all the people on the planet use Facebook.
Yeah, well, it's an insane number.
It's also the biggest buying group right now is in there, right? So TikTok is kind of your next generation buying group. Yeah, you might find some people there, but you're right. It's not the largest buying group just yet.
Okay, so what's the target demographic for home buyers right now? You guys know this?
No, but I feel like you're about to school me.
25 to 45?
That's pretty much right on. It's somewhere roughly like 30 to 55.
Okay.
See, I've heard 32 or 34. Like I've the tightest range I've heard is 34 to 53.
Okay.
But still, and then we look at what is Facebook's target demographic. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
And you know why it is? Because the research has been done. They've optimized their platform to be for this group who is in the process of spending the most money right now.
Well, that's people my age, right? So like that, and I grew up like, MySpace was a thing for a bit, but like in high school and college, it was Facebook, and it really hasn't changed since then. It's just gotten more and more integrated into like everything that I do. Is there's a Facebook for this. There's Facebook is in this part of my life now, and Facebook's doing this part of my life. Even if we take TikTok, I mean, they got Instagram Reels. I mean, they anything that succeeds, they just take and copy. It's in my hands.
Yep.
You're absolutely right. So I've got love for people who are getting business right now on TikTok and on Twitter and all the rest. But here's the thing: Twitter's audience so broad, TikTok's audience very narrow. I mean, still, somebody heard this right now. They're like, "Are you kidding me?" Everybody I know is on TikTok. Well, broaden your horizons, folks. TikTok doesn't have a quarter of all the people on the planet on their platform every single day. That's a little bit of an overstatement, but not by much. Facebook is the biggest audience by far. So you engage with them on Facebook, meet them where they're at, go give them a friend request, send them a Facebook message, and invite them to some kind of group. Like, what are your people? What kind of interest group do you have? Can you create some type of group online that people want to engage with, where you just drop stuff on it, right? Yeah. I have on here social posts with campaigns. Go drop. That's free. That costs you nothing but a little bit of time. Go create your business profile. It gives you credibility. There's not a whole lot more you're going to get out of your Facebook business page than credibility. I do know some people who have massive followings to their business page, but it's not real common. And I don't advise everybody go out and spend a whole bunch of time. But
no, definitely not. I mean, I feel like the social posts and the Facebook, the basic posting on pages is really good for connecting with the people that you've already connected with. You're not going to find any new people. Yeah.
Well, and I always go back to when I teach this, people say, should I have a Facebook page or not? And my first thought is, if you're asking me that question, the answer is probably not, right? Because you're not going to do the things to make it look like you actually have a business that's running. Because if you just create one and never post to it, or post once and never post again, people may think it's dead, right? So what you're doing with the social posts is creating a pulse so that it follows along, so that when people look at it, you're actually an ongoing business rather than a dead business.
I like to think of it more as a tax. Like, it's something that you kind of have to do that you don't get a whole lot of return out of, but you have to do it if you're going to do all the other things too.
Yeah.
But how much time have agents spent sitting there painstakingly designing their business cards or curating their custom websites and writing a blog?
Yeah.
So much.
So our consumers care as much about our blogs as they care about our business pages. It's the same thing. Like, maybe you get every once in a while, you'll get somebody to scroll through and actually care and engage. But most people just want to check that you're a real professional, that you've been in the business for a minute, not even a long time, just a minute, right? And that you have something to offer, anything. Well, I mean, we've got all kinds of cool designs. So here's an idea. Every Friday, pick a different neighborhood in your area. If you want to be seen as the neighborhood expert, maybe you pick 5 different neighborhoods, or maybe it's one neighborhood a week. So you pick 4 different neighborhoods and create a neighborhood video and just launch it every single Friday.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be super easy, right?
Yep.
And then every single Friday, anybody that checks into your page can see, oh man, like every single week, religiously, this person knows what's up, right? They don't know that it's automated, that we didn't actually extract those numbers, but they know that we know our numbers because we're
for those that don't know what Seth's talking about, I think you're referring to the same thing, Seth, which is the video feature inside Designs, right?
Yeah. Bingo.
Yeah.
Takes like 30 seconds.
Yeah, my next question was, how long does that take, Seth?
So
Not
really,
even 30 seconds.
if it's your first time, it's going to take you probably 3 minutes.
Yeah,
no joke.
It's so easy.
Yep.
And for those high C's out there, you're going to go and check the data to make sure it's accurate. So it might take you a little longer.
It might take you 5 minutes. That's so true.
So I used to be an appraiser. My wife's an appraiser 20 years, and I am not a high C, but you go through the appraisal courses and you start to really care about the liability of data. I've caught myself double checking those stats.
Yeah. But even then, you log into the MLS. If you know your MLS, it takes you 2 minutes, right? It's not going to take you a long time.
Yep.
No, and depending on your market, it's like in Nashville, I haven't had a problem with the data on it. Like it's been spot on every time.
And and if it's a little bit inaccurate, what's that really hurt, right? I mean, it's better data than they're getting from anybody else. I guarantee that.
And you can manually change it if you really want to. Like if it's important to you that it's like that extra 0.01 is on there for the penny difference. Yep. Yeah, go ahead and add it on there. You absolutely can.
Bingo. So the third thing on this is stack with events for a virtual 36 touch campaign. So here's how I want to say it, right? So that's easy. Send them messages. If you want to send them a message every quarter or a message every month, put them on, if you guys are familiar with DTD2, put them on a DTD2 schedule, right? Yeah. Or very simply, a smart plan, the quarterly call smart plan. So every 90 days, you're going to go back, instead of calling them, because maybe you don't have their phone number or not a good phone number that you captured, but you could very simply go back to Facebook and send them a message, right? And then use the LCM. So when it's time to, every 90 days, you go and like one of their posts, you comment on that same post or a different one, and then you send them a direct message. Use that LCM strategy. You can engage with mass numbers of people every 90 days.
What does LCN stand for?
Like, comment, message.
LCM.
Yes, M as in Mills.
Message. How much time are you investing into that? Because I know some of us have I have maybe 1,000 Facebook friends. I've seen people that go that limit that 5,000. I mean, do you have a list of people that you're picking that on, or just how do you determine who you're giving that treatment to?
So here's what I would advise. I've got I think probably 400 what are called leads in command, which truly are just prospects, right? These are people these are unmets that I've got permission to communicate with. And so I'm going to try to build a relationship. You put them on a smart plan, a quarterly call smart plan. I mean, it's very, very quick, right? Mm-hmm. So it is faster to do the LCM strategy than it is to call people. And I would say probably about 5 times faster. So for every one person that you'd have a phone call conversation with, you could probably have 5 like, comment, and Facebook message interactions in the same amount of time. Interesting. So that's 4 engagements right there. And if you really want to multiply it out, that's 12, because a like, a comment, and a message. But that's probably one conversation back and forth. So that's 4. I would say very simply, so if they engaged with a listing ad, put them on a bi-weekly neighborhood nurture or a monthly neighborhood nurture. That's either 12 or 26 additional engagements over the year, right? So, and then you have just 6. I mean, if you want to get to a 36 touch campaign, that's pretty simple, because there are a lot of things that we can invite people to. So I have an example here, and maybe I'll post this out, but this is small writing, but this is a simple message I post out to my neighborhood group, and I post it every single summer. I will post a variation of this. Actually, I think it goes out next week to my neighborhood group. And we get massive response. And it just says, summer electricity bills are here. hey, we've got a move concierge that can save you money on your electricity bills. Contact him here and reference that I'm sending you. So it's a better electricity rate than anywhere else they're going to get. And it's just a value piece, right? It's one of 4 value pieces that we offer to our Facebook friends each year. This is like a quarterly event, right? Now we have a reason to reach out and invite people to it. We can tag people in it. They start tagging each other every single time. So just an example of what we do. So we always do this in the summer, and then in the fall we talk about tax bills rolling out, and if people have questions about it, or if they want to know what the value of their home is compared, right? In the winter, we talk about winter events, and we talk about winterizing your home. And then in the spring, we talk about tax protests. So it's things that are related to their house all year round. It's 4 simple things. They seem to be never overplayed because we get really good engagement each year, and we generate business from it because we get people reaching out. They're grateful that we're just contributing to them. We never ask for anything in return, aside from in our comments and our messages to them and our communications back and forth. We ask them, and I've got some messages here. We run neighborhood events as well. But in the offer portion, we ask them early, right? Ask for.
How are you getting that in front of them? Like, is that through the messages you're sending them, through emails? Like, how are you getting these events in front of people?
Yeah, so if for our hyper targeted groups, we will invite them to be basically in our bubble. So we really we put a lot of focus on the neighborhood that we live in. Right. We're the market experts. The neighborhood I live in, Inspiration, we sold 37% of all the homes last year. It's a pretty big neighborhood. And we do that because we're constantly in front of people, constantly providing value. Right. So we're not tricking anybody into doing it. We've got a decent reputation in the neighborhood, and we're just always providing value. And that gives us plenty of engagement to say, hey, do you want to know what your home is worth? Hey, who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest? Hey, we've got somebody looking for this type of home. Who do you know that might think about selling? And these are just natural conversations, right? But we'll weave something in every single time, or ask for reviews, ask for referrals. If we're giving something, we've earned the right to ask for something in return.
Yeah, so it's authentic. You're not forcing this. You've now developed the relationship through all these interactions, and it just comes naturally.
Absolutely. Hey, do you guys think we have a little time real quick to take a couple of quick questions from the audience? Because we've got a few. We've got Jennifer Trim asks, Facebook ads versus Instagram ads.
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
I say run both. And here's why. I don't know your following. I don't know your demographic area or geographic area. But either one of them could run well. I like allowing command to choose. I'll tell it to just dynamically run it, and wherever the best return is coming, let the money be spent there.
I'm a big fan of that method as well, because Facebook wants to spend your money, and they want to spend it effectively. They want you to get good results, and you keep spending money with Facebook. I let them do a lot of that decision making for me, and that also kind of goes in line with what Jason Flynn was saying yesterday, which is cast that wide net. Don't get into the details. Cast it. Let Facebook do its thing.
Yep.
The other question we had there was also from Jennifer. What apps are you using to edit videos?
For me to edit videos, I don't
edit
a ton of videos.
What is your editor using?
Yeah, so Adobe Premiere, really.
Oh, you guys are going all out.
Yeah, I mean, it's we keep some bumpers. I have him build some bumpers, and we just keep some projects open. Makes it easy to drop videos in there, trim them, and push them out.
Yeah, tune in next week, guys, for our class on DaVinci Resolve. we're gonna get heavy into the details.
So I was actually asked to ask you a question, Seth, and I have no idea if this is an inside joke or what. So I don't know. Are you a good for you guy or a misery business guy?
I don't even know what that means.
I'm not sure either. I don't think it's an inside joke, unless it was one of those Friday night Labs Advisor happy hours that I was halfway asleep on.
This comes from a friend of the show, Miss Ariel. Ariel at KW, and I have no idea what she is talking about.
Good for you or misery business. So I'm just gonna interpret that the way that I hear it. I'm pretty optimistic, and I'm pretty cheery on everything. I always look for the bright side of things. And there's plenty of stuff to complain about.
Are you a millennial or a Gen Z? But I have no idea which one is which.
I think Gen Z would be the misery, right?
Oh, that's funny.
I say that as a millennial, right? I'm gonna have to.
I almost straddle between the two. I'm definitely a millennial, though.
Yeah.
If that's the question. Yeah.
I'm so confused. I don't know. We'll have Ariel on the show next time to ask our guests directly.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, that is all the questions I had so far. I'm sure we'll pick up some more here to I'll get through the tail end of the programming here. Seth, where did we leave off? Forgive me for cutting you off.
No, it's all right. So, I mean, really, I think the concept is simple. Come up with your follow-up plan ahead of time. Know who you're talking to, know how you're going to contribute value, and then just do it. Deliver on value. And what, well, I won't go back to it, but on that last slide, it said use KW Tech to deliver your unique value proposition.
Yeah.
So you've got a bunch of different things. You've got smart plans to help you automate a lot of that communication, or at least remind you to communicate. You've got smart plans to send them the neighborhood profiles. And then here's something. So I'm a big fan of using vanity URLs. So I buy a lot of GoDaddy domains and I just redirect them. Now, there's somebody watching saying you're ruining your SEO presence. Well, here's the thing. If nobody's looking for me, my SEO presence may not matter, right? If I've got a captive audience, I can have something on a postcard or that I can share by voice that can capture very, very effectively. And if I am prospecting, I want to be able to use something actively and not passively. Search engine optimization is great if you want passive results. But if you want active results, put something in your hands, give yourself a tool that you can use. So I use, I've got a website called Inspiration
Station.
No, but that's clever. InspirationVillages.com.
Thank you, Seth.
InspirationVillages.com simply redirects to the neighborhood page on my website for the neighborhood we live in. Very, very simple. This is not a unique landing page. This is, I went to my website, I looked up my neighborhood, I copied this URL at the top, I pasted it into GoDaddy, and it just redirects. So I don't even see the top Inspiration Villages anymore. Yeah, it goes right to it. Go ahead, Joe.
I just said you just gave GoDaddy some revenue as everybody watching is running and buying.
Yeah, go ahead and drop that referral link, Seth.
So I mean, it can be just about any provider that you want, right? Any domain provider you want. Just do forwarding. And here's the thing. If SEO strategy is your thing, if you want to show up in Google organic search results, that's awesome. Yeah. There are additional strategies you can do. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is actively prospecting, automating what you can, and then actively prospecting the people that you have. I can tell somebody, go to inspirationvillages.com and they can easily find this. Now, here's the thing. Every time they do, this is not some standalone unique landing page that they fall on and then just get lost and just kind of, right? Like they've got other reasons to go. They can go create an account. They can get lost looking at the neighborhood, the next neighborhood over. Look at whatever else they want on my website. I want to train my neighbors and our consumers to use our technology as opposed to anyone else's.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's better. It's better for them. And it's definitely better for us. So if we can meet them where they are, they want to look at homes, they want to search homes online, they want to look at virtual tours. Let's give them a website where they can do all of that, make it really easy to find it.
Yeah.
And make it feel customized to them specifically.
You know, this everything you've said feel like a warmer version of what we've been saying for 10 years. As long as I've been in the business, you hear the 10 days of pain, right? And you're not talking about anything different in that the goal is to get the engagement. but you're just doing a slightly different approach because what you're trying to do is put, and again, this is where it's very similar. I always talk about you're kind of baiting the hook, right? You're putting, and like you said, the hook, you're putting stuff out there that you want them to bite. And until they bite, you're just talking at them. So it's, in some sense, none of this is any different than what we've been talking about, except a little bit about your approach, and the warmth of it is there's a tweak to that, right?
Yep. And he's got, I think Seth's got a lot of diversity in his approach, right? He's got different domains with this thing. He's got the social, I mean, he's not just looking at his social media presence as a way to follow for Facebook ads, but it's also an overall, I mean, earlier I had the slide on the, it actually even said 36 touch, right? So he's building out every aspect of, and this goes back to what you were saying in the beginning, your campaign of social media that you use to generate business.
Yep. Well, absolutely. And it's not.
And I'm stealing every single idea I'm hearing right now. I've been writing everything down in the background.
And it's not generic, which is cool, right? Because you know, one of the things I see agents make the mistake all the time is they build the one follow-up plan, and it's generic content, right? And maybe if you work in one neighborhood, like your neighborhood, you can have kind of a plan that has information on that neighborhood. But maybe you work a broader area, right? You don't want to send people stuff for this particular town if you're working, like you're in Dallas, right? So Plano or wherever. It doesn't make any sense to do that. So maybe take that same strategy and just tweak it a little bit. Again, it's you're looking for relevant stuff that people are interested in actually seeing, so that they start that conversation.
Right. So I mean, I've been saying for a long time, if you want to send somebody a link to a property, I mean, forever we've created unique landing pages, and for open houses, we've created like fancy apps and complicated systems and Google Forms to capture people's information, right? But again, our consumer website can be used for all of that. You have this up on a tablet in front, and you scroll to the bottom. Hey, we've got all the information here. Would you just sign in real quick as you're going to be looking through, right? Makes it super simple.
And Seth just scrolled by like 4 or 5 different buttons that are all designed to capture information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to get down to the form at the bottom.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But it's, you know, how do we take one thing and use it for multiple pieces? How can we take our website, put it in people's hands and get them to it? I think for a long time, agents have kind of struggled finding out how do we use our website. We were talking before, our Facebook business page often is just a digital business card. It gives us credibility. Well, forever, our websites have been the same thing. It doesn't have to be that way anymore. Our websites are really super useful for everything that we do on a regular basis, and for our consumer if they want to be looking for something.
Well, and what you said, you did 30% of the sales in your neighborhood. So we're not talking theory here. We're talking you've used this to get where you are.
37% in the past 12 months. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have more content? We're at 50 minutes. So I
just realized I was muted because I was doing the whole rap thing.
Are you?
I started going.
Before we wrap, we did have kudos from Kimber, friend of the show and future guest.
Yes.
on your pocket square.
I think Kimber knows this because she's seen it before. It's actually a mask. And I've been wearing this for like the past year, mostly as a pocket square. And it's funny, like we don't have to wear masks where we're at anymore if you're vaccinated. Like none of the businesses can, most of the businesses don't require it anymore, but I just can't get away from it.
I actually love the idea. I just love this because he's been talking this whole time, like how we take one thing and get multiple uses out of it as part of our overall strategy. And this guy's got a mask that doubles as a fancy pocket square that not only looks good, but he can also just pull it out. He's like, I'm not getting kicked out of this location. Like he's ready to rock and roll.
I'm a believer.
Okay, so guys, Joe, Seth, particularly, I want to thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your knowledge and insight around social media advertising, digital door knocking, which is a phrase I love and I'm totally going to be stealing. Joe, thank you so much as always for being on with me. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up, guys?
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Hey, can I just encourage anybody watching this last minute of this? Just go do something active. Quit waiting for somebody else to create the solution. Quit waiting for people to just show up at your door and say, "Come list me." Like, go find people. You want more business? Go find more business. Go find ways to serve people, and you'll have all the business you ever want. So, Evan, Joe, thank you guys. This is awesome.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you again. And we will see you guys next week on Labs Advisors Live. Am I frozen? Okay, there we go. Labs Advisors Live.
I just remembered I have to be the one to hit the end live button today. So, yeah, here we go.
That's right. Later, guys.
Peace out, everybody.